All right, so yesterday's experiment on the paint remover did not work out. Total fail. Say hey, Johnny.
Hello.
All right, so today's task is going to be to take the wire brush and have a go at it. Let me show you what it looks like so far. So after it has set and dried, you can see where a lot of the paint came off on the corner, but most of the other that was dried on there is just the dried paint remover. I could have gotten some of the paint off if I'd gotten it while it was wet, but I think it's bubbled up enough that the wire brush will do a good job. Worst case, the wire brush will take the paint off anyway. So we'll give it a shot and see how it goes. All right, and the finished product, it took maybe 25 minutes, and the trick was to use that brush as opposed to the one I had on there to begin with, and it came off really quickly. So it's not got all the bits off, but it's got the vast majority of them. So we'll wipe it down and probably put a sanding on it just to get it all out. You can see now where the welds are in that piece that we welded on really clearly. Don't look too closely, not proud of all of that, but it's there. And there is there's a big dent right here. You can feel it. So we'll Bondo that up here in a little bit and see what we can do with it. And here's the finished product, sanded. All the primer is off, all the paint is off, the original primer, the original paint, all the way around to the seam there, top to bottom. I got it all off. You see where the sandpaper is really smooth, kind of shine that up. That is basically where the indentation is. You can feel it right in there, that's the high point on the side here. And then it's low on this side here. So we're gonna try to build that up a little bit. Again, I filled in these holes. I don't intend to use them again. The tire carrier will be different. And the only thing that gets mounted back here outside of the hinges, which we're not gonna do anything with that far over, is the tail light. So the tail light, not a whole lot of anxiety around how that's gonna mount. Just the hinges are really the only thing that's gonna be mounted on the back. And we're not gonna try to do anything with raising or changing the angle of this far over. We're going to really start from that right side of the hinge and go towards the outside with the Bondo. So we'll wipe it down with some cleaner, degreaser, whatever. Make sure that the Bondo has a clean surface to adhere to. And then we will mix some up, put some hardener in it, and apply. And see where we go from there.
Yep.
All right, so we've got the hardener and the Bondo mixed in, or we'll mix it in real good. I probably got too much hardener in there, so it'll probably harden up before I even get it on there. But I'm gonna do the best I can. Also, this has been sitting for a while, so I think I got too much hardener in it. But such is life. Nothing we do is perfect the first time, so we will try it next time and we will do better. That's how I roll. But be that as it may, we're going to mostly incorporated. I want to make sure that everything we put on there is actually got the hardener in it. I don't want any soft spots any more than I have to have, just simply from an amateur doing this. So I think I'm doing till my hands get sore. I think we're about there. All right, so we'll give it a shot here. So I'm just gonna start by thin layers, and we will See how far down we can get with what we've got. Alright, so it's just the bad spot here. We are, and we're videoing, so come on out and say hey, honey.
I don't think so, Johnny. Don't get me. I'm in my room.
Okay. No problem. I'd like to get all the air bubbles out, but this means we're going to end up having to sand it. We're going to do that anyway. You can begin to see where it's thicker in some places than it is in others. I'm going to try to put the extra remaining there, and we're going to end up having to put probably 2 or 3 coats at the thickness that I'm currently putting on there, just to ensure that we got enough to cover it. So I'll try not to mess it up too much from what I'm doing here. So I'm getting sticky. Okay. Don't mind the sticky. That's right, drip all over me. Now, I'm going to have to go back over some of this again for sure, because I know that I'm not doing a great job on it, but I'm going to have to make that hole that I just covered up come out, but that's all right for now. I think we'll be okay. We can get out here. I like to get all stuck on there as much as we can. Now, I can feel the wave just running over that, so I know I'm going to have to do another layer, and it's definitely lower there. But we will let that set up, and we will take it from there. On the lower side, I'm going to mix some more up, and we'll start working around the corner here on the top. You can cut it just around as best we can. What we got. Get all of that off. What I want to do is just get this round as much as we can. It's uniform. And we will go with that. I'm going to take this top off and just make sure that we don't screw up our top here. Let's do this. see if we can smooth that out before it gets hard. Seems to not want to get smooth, so we're probably going to end up sanding a lot of that. It's got holes in it. Let's see what I'm doing with it. Alright, so not the best in the world for a first time, but could be worse, I think. I'm sure we're going to need more than one coat on it, but I think that at least covers. I've got a bubble here that I need to figure out what to do about. Alright, so that is the finished product from the first coat. It needs a bit of stuff here. It's still low there, and it's still low on this side too, but it's dry, as hard as a rock the next day. And we're going to sand that off and then apply another coat. We'll see how far we get. All right, so we got it sanded. It's not fully sanded, but we stopped because you can see there's low points here and here. This is actually a low point. All of these are low. And I hit the metal here and at the bottom with that board. So this is actually a low point, needs to be filled in. There's a rough spot here. Low points over here. This is probably just me not getting it good with sanding. I'll go back and get that. All of this in here is low. Because there's still a ridge. You can't see it on the camera, but there's a ridge along here and a ridge along here. So I need to get that. And you see the spot here is low, just a whole bunch of low spots. So we're gonna go back and get all of that. You can see it a lot better now. We'll go back and get that. I gotta put some over here. You can't see it real well, but it is, there you can see it's deformed a little bit there. So basically everything that's gray, we'll wipe it down again, but everything that's gray is going to get some more filler on it. And I'll straighten this line up here last. There's no point in spending a whole lot of time on that until I've got at least enough filler everywhere else that it'll be flat. So more to come. All right, so 2 coats of Bondo on it. Hadn't sanded the second coat out. Probably going to need a 3rd coat. We'll figure that out. Well, there you go. We'll set it up and get sanding. All right, so let me show you real quick where we are. We've got 2 coats of filler on there, and if I take my straight edge, which is just a metal ruler, and I put it on here like this, there is no wiggle until you get up here to this little hole, and you see the little space under there, and then it goes back to flat as can be all the way up. So I've done a pretty good job there. I probably come back and put a little bit in around that. Now that's where the tail light mounts, and so outside of the tail light needing to be flush against it, I think it's fine. Now on the, I'll put my straight edge this way. You see that I still have a fairly considerable gap. It's still low. I think that's just how this panel sits, I'm going to be honest with you, but it is still quite a bit of a gap in there. So see, I've got some places where the metal is, I've gotten actually down to the metal on it, and you see that it's pretty low. Now that's on that angle. If I come around to my bend, you see that it's flat again, that there's no space in there. So it's really just on the flat edge, and that's right where that tailgate support standoff was, is like literally right in the middle. So right below where my index finger is, that's where that was and where it had been dented in. And I pulled that out as much as I can, but you see the wobble there. Now, truth be told, you're not gonna really notice it because I'm gonna have the tailgate, the tail light in this area, right? And then with this spare tire carrier that's gonna mount on the bumper here, you're really not going to see this at all, like at all. If I back up, because it's a different color right now, you might be able to see. You see there's a little bit of wave right in this area, little bit of depression there. Now I've got to come back and put a little bit more, so get around to the side here. You see the rest of the tub isn't exactly flat either, because if it was flat, you would not be able to see this end and that end at the same time while seeing all of that. So I think it's just how it's mounted to a degree. Yeah, I'm sure there's some wiggle in it, but such is life. You also see, you follow the tail here that kind of bulges out here. There's no body filler right there. That's just where the back transom piece mounts to the frame. So it may be depressed in here as well, but truth be told, again, you're not going to notice that when I get it all painted up, all the same color. It's going to be awful hard for you to see a lot of that. Now, I do have to still, you see I got some holes here. I got to fill those in. So I'm going to have to put a third layer on. There's a handful of little just imperfections that need to be filled in as well so that you don't see them through the paint. But I'm not going to do a whole lot more shaping on it. So I will fill in those. And then I am probably going to put a little bit more right here. So again, you see the depression is really between this line and this line down here. So right in here. And it stops right at the turn. So again, it's where it pushed it in, right, literally like right there. So I'm going to put some more filler here, just so this is flat for the tailgate, or for the tail light to mount to. See the two tail light mount holes? So I'm probably going to put some more here. I got to fill in the holes on the side over here, and then just flatten it down. I don't know if I'll get enough to where you'll notice a difference from the depression here, but we'll see. Otherwise, it is pretty flat, nice and smooth, ready for primer, I think, after a lot of effort. Even got the top rail here kind of sanded off. Now I just did that with just my sandpaper and my fingers, but I think it looks okay. Again, it's kind of hard to see because it's so bright on the camera, but probably put a little bit more filler right in here. And you see this is where that piece that I cut off the other Jeep was mounted. There's no point in putting a lot of filler in here because I think it'll just end up cracking with the weight of the hard top going on and off. But I might put a little bit just to fill in. There's a little hole. There's a few holes up here I might be able to fill in just so you don't see them. But even with primer on it, you didn't really see it. That's how shallow those holes are. And they look dark on here, but they're not really. So we'll see how that goes, and hopefully we'll be really close to getting a coat of primer. I'd like to get a coat of primer on this here today-ish, and put that, at least that particular panel to bed. We'll see how it goes. All right, so I got the third coat applied. Just put it in the low spots and the spots that needed to be smoothed out, the little holes and so forth. That main section there is still going to be a little bit low, but I think it'll be close enough that, again, you probably won't notice it had I not done the third coat, but with that third coat on it, it'll be even less noticeable. I did notice that there is a third brake light screw hole. So you'll see the two little tiny ones on there. I think there's a third one at the top. I'm looking on the other side, and there is a third one over there. So I'm thinking I might need to put a pattern on there and find that third hole. We'll see how that goes, but nonetheless, we'll let that dry up, harden up a bit, and then we will smooth it out. And then I think we will be ready for a coat of primer on our panel there. And then we'll be on to the next panel. And again, I plan to Rhino line or Herculine or something, the interior, so it won't be painted per se. It'll be the the plastic liner. I also plan to do that on the top rails there and let it come over so that you got a contrast that'll be black inside, and then it would be our color on the outside, our paint color. Hopefully that will work out like I intend for it to. So I've got to figure out where I'm going to draw the line even around the tailgate rim there. But excited to have this piece almost done.